What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another Ginger Runner Live, episode number 7. We are joined by the wonderful Sally McRae and Billy Yang tonight. No Chris Vargo. Thank God. Today we're going to be talking about running happy, something that's been on my mind all last week and the last couple months. We'll talk more about it in today's show. Welcome to Ginger Runner. Ginger Runner. Oh, Sally, were you dancing? It looked like you were dancing.
What?
It looked like you had some sweet moves. Can we see those again, Sally?
Amazing moves.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in live to Ginger Runner Live. This is one of the most favoritist things that I do every single week, where I get to interact with you guys live. If you have any questions about anything, we have a professional athlete here joining us today, Miss Sally McRae, sponsored by Nike. Look at that woman.
Hi.
Hello, Sally. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ethan?
I am great. And, of course, we're also joined by the wonderfully talented, amazing runner, Mr. Billy Yang, a good friend of mine.
What's up, Internet?
On a couple episodes ago as well. What's up, dude? How are you?
I'm doing very well, dude. How are you?
I am
Bro,
good.
Dude.
So as we do with every episode, I like to start with what we're drinking tonight. I have a local to where I come from. It's a Red Hook Audible Ale. This is from Seattle, Washington. I'm a big fan of Red Hook. I enjoy what they put out. And this one was established in 1981, which is when I was established. I'm going to pop this one open. I have a tiny bottle opener, so it's not going to work very well. There we go.
As long as you know how to work it. There you go.
I know how to work it. And I have water, because it's race week, so I also have to hydrate accordingly. Billy, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight, in honor of our little race coming up this weekend, not quite Portland, but I do have something from Bend, the Deschutes Red Chair NWA.
NWA.
That was a couple of weekends ago when I had the old D. No, this is the Red Chair NWPA, the Northwest Pale Ale from Bend, Oregon. Had my first bottle the other night. It was delicious, and I'm having it again tonight.
That looks awesome. I wish I could partake in some of that.
Nice.
And Sally, I think we know what you're drinking, but what is the beverage of choice?
It is water tonight, people.
Yes.
Lots of water. But I need a refill. I have like an ounce left.
Do you want to take a moment to go refill?
I probably will at some point when one of you guys is jabbing.
You're welcome to go refill at any point, Sally. You know,
Thank
water
you.
is a
Wow.
plentiful resource.
Talk about special treatment here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You're our star tonight. These are two of my favorite people right down here. Sally McRae and Billy Yang. They're two very amazing runners. I enjoy running with them, and I've run with both of them in the last week. Billy multiple times. Sally, I think we ran. Well, I guess it was a week ago. Yeah, like a night run a couple of weeks ago. So what's been going on in the last couple of weeks, just to kind of get this show started and tell you guys kind of what we're talking about, I've been getting more down on myself as far as how I've been running, my mileage, what the stuff that I'm putting in on a daily and weekly basis, especially going into a race. It concerns me. I get a little nervous and get down on myself a little bit. So what I want to talk about is putting your headspace in a more positive place, I guess, because I got to a point when I was like, you know what? Why am I getting so down on myself? I'm comparing myself to others, and I'm not enjoying it as much as I have been in the past couple of weeks. And so I want to nip it in the bud. And today I want to talk about how to run happy and how to maintain that happiness.
I love it.
On a specific run or for a long training cycle. And I have two of the best people write down. I don't know which corner to point at because I'm looking at it reverse of what I think you guys are saying. So whichever corner they're in. Sally is one of the most positive people I know, and Billy is just an asshole, so he's kind of that opposite side of that. No,
I am the yang to her yin.
Now you're just being racist. So I really like these two people. They bring a really awesome, positive energy to my running and to the running game. They're always there to support me when I feel bad about what I'm, my training or whatever. And I think we all need that support system. So tonight we're going to talk a lot about that, if that's cool. Sally, let me start with you.
Okay.
Knowing that you are such a positive person and you put so much really good energy out into the world, and not just with running, but with family and everything. How do you do that? Like, is there anything that you do that helps you maintain that positive energy? I mean, do you have any secrets?
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess without going into like too much detail, I guess I consider myself a very much a spiritual person. I'm a Christian, and so I definitely like when I go on long runs and stuff, I like to spend time with the Lord, and I pray a lot, and I think it just helps me maintain like that peace and balance in my life, and kind of allows me just time to meditate and think about like what my purpose here is on earth. And so um, that definitely fuels me. That brings a lot of joy in my life. Um, and then just as far as like running goes, I think that just overall in my life I've experienced a lot of loss, and I've had quite a bit of trials in my life. And I think with that you can approach your life and either become a victim to it or find like the joy and like the lesson and the strength in it. And so that has always been the challenge in my life is when I get to go out and run, I really value that, and I think of like I get to do this. And I've been very close with people that have been horribly sick and have later lost their lives, or people that would love to have the time or the energy to be able to do what we get to do. And so I think that really making it a focus in my life and to challenge myself to always remain thankful for every single moment that I get to run. And I think just anything in my life, like if I tell myself just be thankful for everything that you have, even the challenges, because they're going to make you better. Yeah. That's really helped me a lot. I'm definitely not perfect, and I have my days, but yeah, those two things are huge for me. So
that's awesome, Sally. Thank you. I want to shout out Guillaume. We have our good friend Guillaume Calmettes. I honestly don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I always just go Guillaume Calmettes, which is incorrect. So what's up to our Frenchy boy in the chat room? He's a local California.
What's up, Guillaume?
We love you, Guillaume.
He is rocking the mileage because he's running the Gorge 100K next weekend. Both Billy and I are running the Gorge 50K next weekend, and Sally is at home eating cake next weekend, which is
not yet, not till I cross my finish line.
Billy,
what's up, dude?
How do you maintain your positivity? I know that I think you're a lot like me, where some weeks you have good weeks and some weeks you have bad weeks. But for the most part, as a friend, I always see you running, and you're always like super positive. If I run into you on the trail, you're like, "What's up, man?" It doesn't matter if you're feeling like shit or if I'm feeling like shit.
Yeah.
What do you do? We're going to get into our top 10 list in a second, but what do you do just kind of generally that allows you to stay positive?
Well, Sally stole my answer, so I got to think of a new one. No. I'm going to piggyback what she said about just, if you really think about what we are able to do, right now, and it's not a given that we're going to be able to do this tomorrow or the next day or the week after or the next year. If you really try to put things in perspective, this is really, and when it comes down to it, Vargo aside, or Sally aside, I should say, this is a hobby for the rest of us. We do this purely out of enjoyment, to kind of express ourselves physically out there and then appreciate nature. So I try to maintain that perspective. It's I'm not going to lie and say I have this perspective all the time, but for the time being, it's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing that we get to do this, that we get to do what 0.0001% of the overall population probably engages in, whereas everyone's getting fatter and bigger and unhealthier, and and it's an awesome community too. So there's that advantage and or that part of the community as well. So yeah,
I agree with you. It's easy to forget all these things. So all these things that we're listing just in the past couple of minutes and what we're going to get to here in just a moment, it's easy to forget. And so I had a reality check just a couple of days ago, and you can go back and look at my Facebook and my Twitter. I actually have a blurb where I say something where it's like, don't forget. there are some important things that you have to remember that will help you maintain that positivity, and one of them is on my list tonight. I want to talk to a couple people in the chat room. We have some amazing people, you guys who are tuning in live. Mike Ralph is drinking chocolate almond milk. Way to go, Mike. I love that. I love chocolate almond milk.
I love chocolate milk.
I do too.
And the chocolate almond milk is way better than I ever expected. In Canada, they have a dark chocolate almond milk, which tastes better than chocolate milk. It's amazing. They don't have it in the States yet that I've noticed. Calmette, says Guillaume. Or no, Christopher Holloway says Calmette, which I'm guessing is the correct pronunciation of Guillaume's last name. Thank you. Finally, I got it. I'll continue to mispronounce it.
Hey,
Tony,
Ethan.
Yeah.
Is it true what Owen Hill's saying? Is this in fact your 100th video?
I don't think so. No, I think this is my 102nd video.
Oh, okay.
I forgot which one was my 100th, and I didn't really give it much fanfare, and I felt terrible because it was like, oh my god, 100 videos. But yeah, Ginger Runner has just surpassed 100 videos.
That's pretty rad.
I'm the only one
Awesome.
partying. Sally doesn't care.
I do. I was
just
responding to
kidding.
people in the chat room.
It's okay. No, please do. If you see something, say it out loud, because we have people who are going to be listening in the post show, and they're not going to see the chat room. So if you see something,
Okay. Well, Will Porter just said he's already had 2 pieces of cake, and I'm like so jealous right now.
I saw earlier. Oh, I just lost it. Tony Ochoa says, "Ask Sally to talk about her daughter's 5K," and I wanted to talk about that just briefly, Sally, because that is also something that made me happy and helped spread happiness. Was watching your Instagram video of you following your daughter to was that her first 5K?
No, she's actually done a few. She's been doing races since she's 4, and
Is she also sponsored by Nike, by the way?
How rad would that be?
Future ambassador. Yeah, future sponsor.
Nike's child team.
she's pretty infatuated with the Nike stuff that comes in boxes every now and then. Can I wear that? Can I wear that? She thinks my stuff is cool right now, so that's pretty awesome. But no, she's been doing 5. I know. In like 5 years, nothing that I do or say or wear is going to be cool. But yeah, she's been doing 5Ks for 4 years now, and I have a rule, like with my kids, I just, as much as I love running and love what I like to do, I like to expose them to as many things as possible. So she's done like the ballet and the gymnastics and soccer and even like cheerleading camps and stuff like that. So, but running has just become something.
Who hasn't?
I know, right? But running has just become something that she really enjoys, and we have a great bonding time together through it. Every time we run, the first thing she says, she's like, "So, what do you want to talk about?" And my response is always, "Let's talk about you." And she loves that. And then she just talks and talks forever. And it's such a sweet time, and it's something that I want to enjoy with her for as long as I possibly can. So this past weekend was the Newport Mesa Spirit Run. It's one of the coolest like family events like in the nation. It's been around for 25 years, and they have races for toddlers all the way through to like family where you can bring your dog and stroller and stuff like that, and they have like 20 races. So anybody can take part of this, whether you're really competitive or you just want to do something fun, you're a walker or a runner. And last year we did it, and she and I we entered the division. It's just a 5K you can do with the kids. Parents can run with the kids, and so and then we get pancakes afterward. So this year she was super excited, and you know, I'm a little competitive here and there, and usually when we go out and run, I try and teach her something.
What?
What? You?
That's not the Sally I know.
Like minutes before the race, were you like, if you don't win?
She was like, "Mommy, my hands are cold." I was like, "Your back's gonna be no." But she there was a few things, like her hands were cold, her feet were hurting, she got a side ache, lots of different things. But so she kind of had a rough go, like at the beginning of the race, and then like the last mile, I thought, you know what, it's been a rough go, like let's not, you know, really pressure her into this. I want it to still be a fun event for her.
Yeah.
So so we just like started cracking jokes and saying hi to other people on the course that had started the other race on the other side. And then we had like 400 yards left, and there's this little girl that she noticed. She's like, "Mommy, that girl has the same shirt as me," and she was running with her dad.
It's on.
And I go, and I was like, "Yeah, you should beat her." And so the last 400 yards, they were going back and forth. And it's funny because I'd like look at the dad, and I could tell he's like, come on, pick up the pace, sweetie, pick up the pace. and then I'm trying to coach Mackenzie, like, come on, sweetie, pick up the pace. You can beat her, And I get closer to Mackenzie, you have to beat that girl. So if you, anyway, so I get the last like 10 seconds.
Because if you don't get waffles.
You don't get waffles, you don't get pancakes, Mackenzie. And something in her just like lit on fire, and this girl was in front of her, and she just passed her right at the end. I did a little video. It's on Instagram and my
It's
Facebook.
a great finishing kick. I mean, honestly, it was the Chris Vargo finishing kick from Way Too Cool. She cleaned up house. I want to make sure that I shout out, before I miss this in the chat room, Aang.
Yeah.
I just missed it. It just rolled down again. Aang Sunset Lover. Hey, Ethan, ran my first 5K. For being a heavy person, this is huge for me. Couldn't wait to tell you. So, Aang, excellent work. Way to go. The fact that you finished your first 5K means there's going to be many more. Trust me, it's an addiction. Welcome to the club. That's awesome.
Hey, and check out her last name. Her last name is Sunset Lover.
Sally loves
Sally.
sunsets.
Sally's all about the sunsets.
Sunsets and coaching her children into winning.
Great job, Ange.
Good job, Aang. Aang or Ange?
I'm
Ange.
saying it's Ange.
I'm going to say
Awesome.
Aang
Doesn't look
because I'm
Chinese.
also racist.
Doesn't look like a Chinese director.
Billy, what else is going on in the chat room? Anything right now before we get into our top 10?
People are asking about the Luna sandals. Your thoughts on them? Have you been approached by like Hirachis?
I have not.
Review them?
I've not been approached yet to review them.
That's
My
how you
thoughts
do
on
it.
them are, I'm sure they're great for some people. It would take such a period of adaptation for me, probably over a couple months, to get used to. You can't call it a shoe, but getting used to a sandal that doesn't have any protection to your front of your feet or anything.
Yeah.
Your feet have to get used to that, and I think that period of time is just too long for me to take something like that into a rotation, because I'm reviewing, like right now I'm reviewing 9 pairs of shoes, and I'm able to rotate them frequently enough where I'm getting 40 to 50 miles per pair before I review them. But you bring in a pair of sandals and you have to run almost straight for a couple weeks minimum. I haven't tried them, but my thoughts are, for some people they're going to work. I've seen people running those on the trails deep in the Santa Monica Mountains, and they're killing it with them. So.
And you know what? I actually brought this up to you during a run. I remember I looked down at your feet, and it was obviously like something different from what I usually see. Something different every single time. And I was like, doesn't it ever get kind of bothersome that you're constantly using a new pair of shoes like every run? And you're like, quite frankly, yeah. I mean, people out there may think, oh my God, he gets a bunch of shoes to review. How awesome, that must be. But you can't really settle in and put a ton of mileage on a one pair of shoes, because you have to get your feet back on them, right?
Yeah, and I'll briefly talk about this. I haven't really talked about this much publicly, but while I do get review samples, it's tough to rotate between a number of shoes, because your feet will want to be in one pair, especially if it's a pair that I like. It's like, oh my God, these I love, and I don't want to run in anything else. So you begin to kind of favor those shoes, but it's also a benefit, because once you try another pair of shoes and it doesn't have those same qualities, you're able to identify the qualities you like and dislike in other shoes far easier, because this upper sucks. This upper on this shoe sucks compared to the upper on this shoe, so I know that that's a negative on this one. But I have to say, and this is something that makes me happy, is I read a lot of reviews, I watch a lot of shoe reviews, gear reviews. It's just now that it's a job that I would love to have. Like, I want this to be my job. So that is part of my job, is reviewing or researching other people's reviews. I take pride in the fact that I'm one of the only people out there who's honest and who's not afraid to say something sucks if it sucks. Even if that manufacturer gave me something, I have no qualms with saying it's bad, because the last thing I want to do is tell you guys, this is a really great product, it's really great, because the manufacturer gave it to me, and then you go and you try it, and you're like, this is the worst thing ever. You get no value out of that.
And the people who there are a ton of people who look to you for these reviews, these frank, candid reviews, and if you're going to sugarcoat it,
right?
yeah,
Because these are the
you're not
smart
doing
people.
anyone.
You
Yeah.
guys who are watching right now are smart because you're seeing an elite runner, Sally McRae, talk about anything you want her to talk about. You're seeing a regular runner who's in the front of the pack, Billy, who can talk about anything right now. And you're seeing me, a mid-packer, but also very knowledgeable in the technical side of running. Boom. You have us at your disposal, and we'll say everything honestly and truthfully. And that doesn't exist really online. Why I'm inspired to say this now is because today I saw a list of top 10 shoes of 2014. We're in March, and people are already releasing top 10 lists of shoes. And I'm looking at this list going, oh, fuck you guys, because you are either being paid by these manufacturers to have this list. It's just like Barnes & Noble, where all the books that you see on those display shelves are paid to be there. So these lists are being comprised by either being paid out to do it, or they're being put out by people who are like, I really need to get in the good graces of X brand, so I'm going to say amazingly positive things about a shoe that isn't on the market yet, that they've never put their foot in. So I was going through this list. It was like top 10. I was like, well, 2 of these shoes, yes, are great. I've already reviewed them. The other 8 haven't been released, or they suck. They suck so hard. It's so frustrating. So that is why I'm happy to say that I am one of the few that is honest and blunt, and I'm not afraid to say negatives. So, all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
That should have been my runner's rant. What am I doing? I'm jumping.
Oh, Danny, man, come on.
That's good. That's runner's rant. Runner's rant right there.
We're supposed to be happy. We're talking about happiness.
We're like, okay, we got to get back in the happy mode. So basically, the whole show today is about running happy. So now that I'm a little heated, let's talk about the happiness. So I wanted to come up with the top 10 ways to run happy. The Ginger Runner top 10 ways to run happy. I realized I had I said it before I had the graphic. So that really didn't make any sense. Okay.
All right.
So, oh wait, Sally's got food. Let's interrupt this previously recorded broadcast. What is it?
Did she freeze on you? I don't know.
She's not frozen, but her audio is.
Okay.
Sally, I don't know what. Home. She can hear us. She can hear us. I know she can probably hear us.
Sally, if it makes you feel any better, I have a bowl of mac and cheese and I'm noshing on too.
Yeah, what the hell happened to Sally? This is.
I don't know.
Sally, we can't hear you. Yeah, plug in those. Yeah, I'm sure you can hear us. Plug in the headphones, and then redo your settings for your microphone. Just click over to another microphone. We'll see if that works. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've put together a couple of items, Billy's put together a couple of items, and Sally have put together a couple of items that will comprise our list of top 10 ways to run happy. These are just little bullet points, things that you can remember while you're out there, or having a bad week, having a bad run, because it will happen. It happens to all of us. It's part of this sport, and this goes for cycling, this goes for training in general. So hopefully this will help. Yes, you're back, Sally. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect timing, too. Okay, so let's go into, and this is in no particular order. I'll start it off. We'll go me, Billy, Sally. So there's no particular order, but they're all important points. Running with friends. So for me, this has helped big time in my ability to stay happy running. Running with Billy, running with Sally, running with some of the local crew, Colin, Dave, Josh, even Chris Vargo whenever I get a chance to see that guy. My fiance, Kim, running with friends, surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded, that enjoy it as much as you do, and doing group runs where there's no stress on pace, there's no stress on time, like you have to finish within a certain amount of time. Maybe you have a set mileage for that day, but that helps me big time to surround myself with people who are also in that same headspace, because everyone just will stay positive. Everyone will chat, and it kind of becomes a fun group activity. Billy, Sally, what do you think?
I totally agree. Are we going through our top 10 right now?
No, you just
we can talk about each one. We've got time, so we can talk about each one individually.
Okay.
Great. So
go ahead, Billy.
Sally also likes running with friends.
I absolutely. I'm sorry. I thought I was interrupting you, Billy. So that's why I just said go ahead. Okay, go ahead, and then I'll go. Okay. I really love running with friends when I get a chance. And Ethan, just to reiterate what you said, I think it is like such a privilege to be able to have like several friends that we get to run with.
Yeah.
You know, I think just like our crew of 7 that we have is like just awesome. I couldn't ask for better buddies to run with, and I know that's not common at all.
Yeah.
I just picked up a couple athletes last week that I started coaching, and they don't know any runners. Like, there's no trail runners around them, and you know, everything they do is by themselves. And I have so much respect for them for going out there, and so the race is for them. Like, that's the time that they get to be able to meet people and get to know the trail community, is the races, and then stuff like this, you know, the social media, and which keeps us all connected. So I think like being able to find like a friend that you can run with all the time is so awesome. And not only that, like so many of our runs, like if we have to do a long run, it's 2 or 3 hours long. I mean, how often do we get to go anywhere at any time during the week and spend 2 or 3 hours just sitting and talking with a friend? Like, that is a special occasion. Our lives are so full and fast and busy that I think that if you have good friends that you get to share the trails with, those end up being some of your best friends, and you share everything with them. It's really easy to be real and raw with people when you're out on the trails.
And that's funny that you point that out too. Being out there for 2 or 3 hours, you talk about everything. You know,
everything.
And that's like one of the best parts about it, is that you can be almost more honest with those friends out on those runs than you can with friends and family. You know, like you can say things that they don't judge, and it's really, really great. Billy, any final thoughts on that one?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Sally.
No, it's cool.
No, I absolutely agree with you guys. If you really want to get to know someone, like their inner darkest, deepest, darkest secrets, I mean, just go out on a night run with them, or pace them in the last 25 miles of a 100-miler. I mean, your whatever the social, you know, the proper way of behaving, or you know, the norms, like, you know, conversation at a party, like the small talk, like that goes all out the window. You get raw. I mean, Sally, you and I, when we first sort of met up for a night run, I mean, we ended up talking about some really intense stuff. And
when you paced me at AC.
Yeah.
That was.
I think we got into religion. We got into you know, our late parents or dad, in my case. We got into all kinds of like pretty intense stuff, and then you just come out of it going like, oh wow, like I just totally bared my soul to this person. And but it's a great way to bond. It really is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sean Stewart in the chat room is saying, and if they do judge you, you can just leave them in the bushes.
There you go.
Yeah, or kick them off the side of a mountain. I've done it.
Yeah. Or threaten to not let them eat pancakes at the end of their 5K race.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and move on to number 9 in the top 10 ways to run happy. This is Billy's.
What's that?
Run to explore.
Yeah.
Billy.
Okay, so I think we have a tendency to fall into a routine. We have a tendency to kind of stick to, measure ourselves. You know, if there's a certain 7-mile route that we always run, you generally tend to run that over and over again to kind of gauge your performance with the past performance. And I think there are a lot of times when I've certainly done this, where I've run by and I saw like run by like a little single track. Be like, I wonder where that leads. But instead, I get wrapped up in like, you know what? I want to beat my PR. Or I want to run this trail faster than I've run it before. So you don't really give yourself the liberty to do that. And I think there are times when, you know, recently I've done that. I've, you know, Farmers Ridge, which I've never bothered to explore, and Ethan and Guillaume out there knows what I'm talking about. When I finally did, I was like, holy crap, I didn't even know this existed. And it just happened to come on a run where I was kind of feeling down and feeling like shit. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to meander off the trail a little bit. And this could be true for any neighborhood, too. I mean, you have a route in your neighborhood that you may do ad nauseum, but then just give yourself the liberty and the freedom every once in a while to go exploring. Go, you know, and this could be true if you're just a road runner and you haven't ventured into trails. I would say, like, when I first discovered trails in the Santa Monica Mountains, like, I had no idea existed here in Los Angeles. I thought and I grew up here. So there are ways to mix it up, and there are ways to just allow yourself every now and again just to go explore and roam around and explore, and who knows, you may find a new favorite route to add to your rotation.
I think that's awesome. I totally agree. Mixing it up, even going for a road run in a new area of town, or when you're on vacation, going for a run in a new area, mixing it up and running to explore. I think it's great, Billy. Sally, here is yours.
Yeah.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Love this. Explain it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, enjoy the journey. So this kind of is taken from this past summer. I got an injury that put me out for about 6 weeks. I got an injury like a few weeks before I was supposed to run AC 100, and then I came back, built myself back up again, and I went to go run Rabbit Run, and I was disqualified because I got lost really, really bad. And I remember coming home and just my body was just tired, and I was frustrated. It was probably like the first time in a long time that I felt like, man, my body doesn't feel good. Like running is just not feel good. But then I kind of did my thing, like I was saying earlier, where I told myself, like, yeah, but I get to do this. Like I have trails a mile away from my doorstep, and I have this sunshine. Just dropped my kids off at school, and I went out and I literally logged like 15-minute miles, and I walked, I jogged, I sat on rocks, and the whole time I was thinking to myself about how everything that we like do, like as far as like a training plan goes, but even in life too, like you have to start somewhere. And so often after I complete a race, I look back and I realize that my favorite part of the race was the training. And it's the journey to the race. And it's like what you were saying earlier. It's like the chance I get to run with friends. It's the weeks that go by and I start feeling my body get stronger and stronger. And that transformation only comes with consistent hard work that you do day in and day out. But you have to take part in the journey every single day. And it's realizing that if I get up in the morning and my legs are heavy and they're tired, but I still get out to run, and then the next day I'm feeling strong and fast and light, and I'm getting out to run, that all of that is part of the journey. And so it's realizing that we can find enjoyment in every single one of those days, whether it's you're feeling good or you're feeling sluggish. All of those amount to making you a better runner, enjoying it more. And on race day, when you hit all those up and down parts, you're hitting those lows, you're not feeling good, or you're getting tired, or you're cramping, you can recall upon all those times in your training when you felt like that too. Those times that you felt sluggish and heavy and tired, or you're bonking, or you felt fit and fast and strong. And you can say, okay, all of that still got me to the start line, so I can take all of that. I'm stronger now. I will get to the finish line. I made it here. I'm going to finish. So I think always enjoying the journey, whether it's a storm or it's a sunny day. It's just makes it better. Embrace it.
This is great. Yeah. Billy and I can both attest to this one too. It rained recently in LA, and I mean it rained hard. When it rains I'm from Seattle, so I know rain. And when it rains in Los Angeles, it's usually a deluge. It's just because there's no drainage, so all the streets flood. The mountains are treacherous because they turn into mudslides. Like it becomes a clusterfuck in Los Angeles. So it rained a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and Billy went out for a run in the rain. I went out for a run like the next day in the rain, and it was kind of one of those moments where you can't run for time. You can't run for anything other than enjoyment and really enjoying that journey. Kind of, Billy, you posted a picture of feeling like a kid again. You took a picture and you're like, I feel like a kid. I'm running in the rain. It's like, that's exactly what I felt like when I was running out there, and it was awesome because you were enjoying yourself in the moment.
Yeah. I guarantee you I did not give a shit about splits or anything like that. It was just immersing myself in that moment.
It was a great opportunity to not care, take advantage of that moment to not care. Okay, so next on the list is me, and that is running without a watch.
Yes, that's a good one.
This is something I don't think I do this frequently enough. I know, Sally, you do it. Billy, I believe you do it as well. From time to time, it's important to take off the watch, take out the GPS tracking, take all all the notifications in your ear that tell you what your mile splits are and stuff like that. Take that out. Take out the technology aspect of the run. Go out and just enjoy it. And this kind of dovetails with Sally's enjoying the journey. But really, it's taking that element of control from something else out of that run. Mm-hmm. Don't let the heart rate monitor, don't let the GPS tracking device, don't let your cell phone control your run. I think that's important to do from time to time. That's it. That's simple. That's it.
Yeah.
Billy,
yes, sir.
We'll move on to you. I think this is a good one. Mine was just simple. This one's a good one. Billy says, be present. Go for it, Billy. What do you think?
Well, I think this is sort of self-explanatory, but there are a lot of times when we have a tendency to, either bring a lot of baggage into the run, or to think ahead and really worry about a race that you can't really do anything about at the moment except to train and run. So, I mean, this is especially true for ultra running. I feel like if you get in your head so much, and you are constantly worrying about, making splits or your overall time, or just things that are just kind of beyond your immediate control at the moment, but instead just kind of choose to, be a little more zen-like. And I know that's kind of corny, but it's true. There's something to just being in the moment, focusing on breathing in, breathing out, the next step, analyzing how you feel, just remembering that, hey, past is past, future is future, whatever. I'm going to focus on just what I am in control of, or what I can control at the moment, and that's in the present. So be in the present. Be like the Buddha. Be the Buddha.
And there's actually, this is great for ultra runners in particular. There are moments in races where you can only focus on the next step because you're in some sort of horrible spot, pain cave, whatever. You've bonked the last 6 miles, or you're just in a terrible, terrible place. And really, the only thing you can focus on is that next step. So you really have to remain present in that moment and just focus on getting through that moment. Yeah. And those are the most transcendent experiences, at least for me, where it almost is like an out-of-body experience where you're kind of looking down on yourself suffering, and you just have to kind of stay in that moment. It's amazing what happens during those times, because you end up getting out of it, and then your whole demeanor changes. Your whole opinion on how the race will end up will completely change, and it's super positive. It's really great. So yeah, definitely be present. I want to say that some people in the chat room were saying that they couldn't run without a watch.
I'm trying to respond to some of them.
Well, and I'll be frank too. I'm the same way. I don't. I like wearing my watch. I don't obsess over it. And I think you recall a tweet of mine where I kind of went off. I don't think having something like a GPS watch means you can't be free of it. You can't not obsess over it. And for me, it's just a tool. It's something that it's like a shirt. It's on me. It's tracking my mileage, but I'm not constantly looking down at it, going like, what's my pace? What's my time? What are my splits? I just have it on, and then I look at it after the run, and I'm like, okay.
But what's funny is that every reason that you just said is the reason you shouldn't have one, because because you're still being controlled by the device in a sense, in my opinion. And trust me, I can't remember the last time I ran without a watch, but I do remember the last time I ran without a watch. I finished and went, you know what? That was fun. That was cool. Yeah. Because you don't worry about pace. You don't find yourself looking at what time it is or how much time you have left before you have to go to your appointment. You begin to do things by feel, and I think that's important. I think it's important to know I feel like I'm going at an 8:40 pace, and just knowing what your body is doing. And I get people are like, well, I'll just put my phone in my pocket and I forget about it. Yeah. Well, how about you take the phone and leave it at home? Then you're not even worried about it, not worried about tracking. And if you really feel like you need to track your runs, go for a run without a watch in the morning, and then go for a run with the watch at night. Like, do a double day, whatever. Just take a chance to get out there without one. But that's how do you
beat course records on Strava without a GPS? I'm confused.
You lie. You use digitalepo.com, and that'll solve all your problems. Which that actually exists, and that drives me crazy.
Yeah, don't.
I love that Sally left right as we're getting to hers. So I think we'll,
Nope, I'm right here.
Oh, she's right there.
I was eating.
You can eat on camera. We have viewers that love it when you eat on camera.
I know.
I also want to remind the audience that I am giving away some Pearl Izumi shorts, brand new Pearl Izumi shorts that they have just released to the market. I'm giving those away later in the episode, so don't go anywhere. I can't believe I didn't mention that earlier. Maybe it's for you hardcore fans who like to actually watch the shows and stick around. You guys have a chance to win. I'm giving 2 pairs away, so we're going to give those away a little bit later. So Sally, this was yours.
Yes. Okay.
Consider others.
Yeah.
Talk to me. What's going on? Talk to me.
Okay, so this last Saturday I had a run. I have a 50-mile race coming up, so it was one of my last long weekends, and I knew I was going to be doing it was like a 31-mile run, and I had to do it on my own, time constraints and things like that. So sometimes when it's a really, really long run like that, I like to have, aside from, like a training focus is, like I made sure that I ran up every climb. And trying out nutrition and my race gear and stuff like that. Like, I like to have those things before I head on my run. It keeps me focused. It also keeps me kind of like busy just mentally. But I also like to make sure that every time I run that I'm mindful of the fact that this is my community, and also that I'm a representative of the trail community. I think that we all are. We're all representatives, and I really take pride in the fact that the trail community is known as one of the friendliest communities out there. And so I think if we can, every time that we go out on the trails, try to exemplify that in one way or another. And so my goal was to be considerate of others on my run, and the way that I did that was anybody that passed me or anybody that I was coming up upon, that I would greet them, I would smile, I would wave, regardless if they did the same back to me, because I want it to be like an unselfish kindness kind of thing. And so and I just feel like that the more that I do that, that it's just my running experience is more positive, especially when I'm hitting points where I'm either like not feeling that great, or I'm like, oh my gosh, I still have 15 more miles to go. If I'm focusing on other people, it makes the experience that much more enjoyable. And so what happened was, I had posted that like in my Strava after I finished my workout. I wrote that was one of my goals, and a couple people responded to me. A couple people were like, "Hey, you waved at me. Thanks for waving at me." And people that follow me on Strava that I've never met before. And someone else on Facebook was like, "Yeah, you gave me I gave you a shaka and you smiled back at me." And other people had said stuff, and I just thought, man, that's the coolest thing. Like, half the people I didn't even recognize, and then another girl stopped me and she's like, I follow you on Facebook, thank you so much for stopping to say hi, and I drove all the way down from San Diego to run on these trails, and I really appreciate you talking to me. And I thought, yeah, like, stop for a minute to say hi and connect with another trail runner. Like, this is awesome. Like, what better way to enjoy a run, to realize that it isn't just about me getting my training run done, but it's a chance that I get to connect with people. And not only that, I ran into a lot of those same people that I said hi, because it was a 30-mile run. So, like, you meet, like, hikers that are out for, like, 5- and 10-mile runs. And, like, 2 hours later, I'd see them again. And then they're, like, waving and, like, they're, like, friends now, because, you take the time to acknowledge them and see them. And so I just think that it gives us a good experience, but it also sends a good message just about our community. And it's my hope that the trail running community will always be authentic in that way, that we will always reach out to other people, whether it's a race or a training run. We realize that we're all doing the same thing, and we love the trails, and we care about each other. We care about helping each other. Billy, I think you shared this earlier. Old Goat's 50-mile race, our good friend Pam broke her ankle at mile 6. Yeah. And it's during a race, and the people in the race that are racing stop, and they, like, make a splint out of wood, and they do all these different things because they have to carry her out. It's not like she can just get up and walk. But
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, it's so awesome. But so they carry her out, and then they go back and they finish the race. But my friend Molly, we went on a run this morning. She was telling me about it because she was working at one of the aid stations, and I thought, that right there, that's the trail community that I love so much. Like, there's not a lot of other sports where so many racers would stop, they'd give up their race essentially, and they would help somebody off the trail that's in pain and that's hurting. Like, that was just awesome. And so, you know, that is a beautiful example of being considerate of others and just our community as a whole. So
I actually hadn't heard that story. That's awesome. That's
awesome.
An incredible story, and I totally agree. The community is that, specifically trail running community, is that positive and that awesome. I will say that I did say hi to someone on the trail this weekend, and I got in return I got a downhill has the right of way. So I was going up, I was running uphill, and there's like two old people hiking down, wearing street clothes, not outdoor clothes. And so I was kind of running up and I go, hi, good morning, and they go, downhill has the right of way, and got shoulder bumped by the man in the group. And I went, you know what? Google it. Uphill has the right of way. We're working harder. And I kept running. And like after I said it, I was like, well, that was kind of rude. But then I also was like, oh, I want to turn around and go yell at him more. But I didn't. And you know, I hope they went home and Googled it. And I hope they went, you know what? We got to be more positive.
Yeah.
Positive on the trail.
I think we all kind of fall under the bigger umbrella of just outdoor enthusiasts. You know, be it a mountain biker, a runner, hiker. We're all out there for essentially the same reasons, to enjoy nature. Because we can run on the roads if that were the case. So, or if that weren't the case. And Sally, I have to elaborate a little bit on Sally's story about Pam Everett. Pam Everett, I don't know if you guys know who the great Tommy Nielsen?
Yeah.
I just blanked on his name all of a sudden. Tough Tommy. He was mentioned in Scott Jurek's book. He is, just look him up on Ultra Sign Up as Sally disappears from my screen. He is
He's good at
taking bites.
Yeah, the man has accomplished so much. And Pam Everett's his girlfriend. She was running Old Goats 50-miler, which is a tough Southern California 50-mile race. Has about 13,000 feet of vertical gain and descent. And I think she was jumping and landed funny, heard her ankle pop. And a guy who's a former paramedic, who I forget his name, I wish I could remember it to shout out, but he's a former paramedic. He kind of made a splint out of two pieces of wood and borrowed a couple of people's bandanas, made a makeshift splint out of it, and then he, along with maybe about half a dozen other runners who stopped mid-race to help her and help carry her about 4 to 5 miles to the next nearest aid station. Can you imagine doing that in the middle of a race? You're like, you know, everything you've been working for, you know, you're in the middle, you're knee deep in this race, and then bam, you see a fallen runner, and you're like, you know what? Some things are just more important than me completing this race. And they took turns carrying her to the aid station. I mean, if that in a nutshell isn't what's so great about this community of ours, like, I don't know what is. That
exemplifies running happy, because they'll never regret helping someone, but they'll always regret getting their PR and not helping that one, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, totally. I think that's awesome. We're going to move on because we still have a couple left and not much time before we move on to the post show and giveaways. Okay, here's the next one. This one's from me. Take a friend on a new run, or take a new friend on an old run. It doesn't really matter. You can go make a random friend. So this actually, this happened to me last week. I have a friend who's done a lot of hiking and just started trail running. We haven't ever hiked or run together, but he's been talking about, hey, I know that you do a lot of running, and those mountains you go to look really awesome. Would love to go with you someday. And in my mind, I hear that's a lot from friends who are like, oh, your views, I want to go see these views. You got to take me. And I'm like, well, I know that they're not really runners, and I would hate to like try to take them on a run and realize, you know, it's just going to turn into a walk or a hike that's more difficult than they anticipated. So I don't take that opportunity enough to take somebody with me who's never done anything even remotely like it, because I get really selfish. Yeah. So this weekend he's like, you know what, or he happened to be at the house. I was like, hey, do you want to go with me tomorrow morning? I'm gonna go do this mountain that I did last week, and it's the first time that I did it, or this particular trail. I'd love to do it again, and I'd love to go with someone new. He's like, yeah, let's totally do it. And honestly, it was like one of the best runs I've had in a couple of weeks. It totally took me out of my funk because the focus was no longer on how fast am I going to finish this run, what's my pace, what's all that stuff. It became on, hey, let me share this experience with someone new who's never seen these views, never been up this mountain, never been on this trail, never done anything like this before. And it was pretty awesome. It was really, really cool to experience that with somebody new. People get that with me. They take me to new trails, and I get all drooly mouthed, chomping at the bit. But this was a cool experience to do that with someone new. So share the love, share the trails, and bring someone new along with you next time, because it's awesome. Next one. This one is from Billy. Get uncomfortable. Yeah. What do you mean, Billy?
Okay, well, I know we're talking about happiness. And happiness to me, like with many other things in life, it can be fleeting. And but I would put in the same sort of camp the word satisfaction. I think to be satisfied kind of also falls under the umbrella of just feeling really good about a run. And when I say get uncomfortable, and Sally, I think you'll appreciate this, with every run, there is some sort of purpose, whether it's to build endurance, whether it's build speed, be better on hills, what have you. So every time you do that, you're putting hay in the proverbial barn. You are getting better with each run. And I think oftentimes, if we're following a plan, we look and we see the dreaded tempo run, or we see the dreaded VO2 max intervals, and we're just like, oh, and you kind of bring that funk into that run. Another way of looking at it, though, is like, okay, this run that I'm about to do is just going to make me that much better of a runner. And in order to do that, I have to get uncomfortable. I have to extend myself a little bit beyond what a normal recovery run where you're just running at a very aerobic pace. You have to push yourself. You have to kind of keep building the blocks to make yourself a more complete and better version of yourself, the best version of yourself. So I say embrace discomfort, embrace the tough workouts. I think there's so many times when I'm just like drenched in sweat, coming off a track after doing 4x1600s or 6x800s, and you're just like, wow, that was kind of awesome. Like, that was kind of badass. And I was like, I don't know why I was dreading that so much. So I think there is something to be said about satisfaction, in addition to happiness, or as a cousin of happiness, being satisfied, putting in the work, knowing you put in the work, and then kind of reaping the rewards on race day.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Get uncomfortable. I totally agree with you. Pushing yourself beyond the limits you think you're possible. And that's why I have now fallen in love with ultra running, is because the first time I did it, it was really uncomfortable. But the reward at the end was unparalleled. Sally, this one's yours. I love it.
Okay.
Stay courageous.
Stay courageous.
Talk to me, what's up?
Yeah. So, staying courageous. I think that this kind of applies. I feel bad, like always, kind of giving like my own personal example, but hopefully you guys can connect to it too. But when I first was interested in doing ultras, the first race I did was American River 50, and I never ran on the trails. I was terrified, and because I mainly run by myself, and I'd adventure out on roads and everything. But I think I had read like just a couple really crazy stories of people being eaten by mountain lions or getting bitten or things like that. And for some reason, I was kind of just afraid of animals at that time. Not anymore. I've overcome that fear. But part of me, so after I did my first 50, and big part of that course, there is some pretty trails, it's so beautiful. I thought I need to do this more. Like, I love being out here, and the only thing that's keeping me from getting out on the trails frequently is my fear. And so I knew I had to face that, and I had to be courageous. And so I started little by little going out on the trails. I'd go for really short periods amount of time, or I'd go like when I knew it was really busy, like a Saturday morning on a really sunny day, you know, where you're just going to hit a ton of people. And I felt like as time went on, it became easier, and I became more comfortable on the trails, more aware. I started reading a lot more just about safety and self-defense and protect, you know, all that kind of stuff that just kind of made me feel more stable out on the trails. But you know, I look back now and just even what I do in my week-to-week training, and I realize that part of the enjoyment that I find in trail running is that I still am respectful of what can happen on the trails, but I allow myself to be courageous in whether it's the routes that I try, or you know, bombing down a hill, or running really hard up a hill, or maybe taking a route that I've never been on before. And I think that that's maybe like the curious or kid side of me, that I think kids are naturally like that. Kids are naturally courageous in many ways, where they just don't overthink everything and don't think that every single thing is going to end up in a bad situation. Lots of accidents and horrible things happen right here in our home. You can slip and fall and break your neck stepping into the shower. And yet we think of going on the trails and we just think that for sure a bear is going to attack us, or some crazy man is hiding in the bushes waiting for us. And
well, that happens a lot for Billy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Billy,
but I think that yeah, so I think that if you run with that in mind, like today I'm going to be courageous, and it's everyone's level of courage is different. So for some of us, like, being courageous is actually like just getting out of the house and, you know, or getting to the trails and doing 2 miles and, you know, going that full length, or asking somebody to join you, you know, if that, or joining a trail group, you know, look, that takes a lot of courage.
Running your first 5K, like Ange in the chat room.
Yes,
that took a lot of courage. I'm sure it did to sign up for that.
That's a lot of courage. And I had talked about this just briefly. I did an article with Outside Magazine, and that was one of the things that they closed the article with. But I just said, the trail community is made up of a lot of really courageous people, because if you think about it, it takes a lot of courage to say, you know what, I'm going to go try and do a 50-mile race. I'm going to go try to do, you know, a trail marathon. And you have to have some amount of courage to do that. So when you get to the start line, I always like to look around and realize all these people believed that they could do this. All these people believe that they could go the distance, and they put in the time, they did the training, maybe at different levels with different times, you know, different time constraints, but so what? They're all here. We're standing among a whole bunch of courageous individuals. And so I think that, you know, keeping that in mind, that it takes an amount of courage, but everyone has it. You just have to believe it, and you have to act upon it. And it just makes running much more happy. So
I love that one. That one's a great one, Sally.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that can be applied to all facets of running, really, because it takes courage to do a lot of what we do. Roads, trails, distances, it doesn't matter. I totally agree. The final one, top 10 ways to run happy. This one is mine, but we can all talk about it, and this is a very specific one. Here we go. Okay. It is
Billy.
Your accomplishments. So this is what I tweeted about the other day. On Friday night, I think it was Friday night, Billy, I ran with you. I ran with Josh, not Josh, but Colin and Dave, some local friends of mine. We all went for a night run. What I thought was going to be easy and fun, and it was difficult for me. It was really difficult for me, and I found myself getting inside my own head and getting really angry because I wasn't keeping up. I was having a really hard time, and the climbs weren't easy. I knew that they were going to go for 20 miles, and I was only going to go for a fraction of that, anywhere between 7 and 10. Halfway through the run, I was like, fuck this, I'm not going for the 10 that I was going to go for. I'm going to go for 7. So I'm going to go for a lot less because I was just that mad at myself. Yeah. And when I got home, I was like, well, why was I mad? And it was because I was comparing myself to you guys, because I was comparing myself to people who were probably just having a good night. You know, like maybe the day before they were having a suffer fest, but this particular moment they were climbing really well. So I started realizing, and this happens a lot for me and a lot for people that I know that follow me, and they talk about it a lot, comparing yourself to other people, it's not good. It's just not a good way to go about your training, your career, anything like that, because there's always going to be somebody faster. There's always going to be somebody more elite, someone that can climb that hill or any mountain better than you, whether on foot, on a bike, or swim faster than you, whatever. It applies across the board. Be happy with your own accomplishments, because just that night I realized that I got a PR on some little course segment, but at the moment I didn't believe that it was happening because I was so transfixed with my failure of not keeping up rather than my accomplishment of what I was doing in that moment. Yeah. So that hit me specifically this last week, and believe me, it's easier said than done for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys out there. But as someone who's a front mid-packer and who has goals and aspirations of being a front packer someday, not elite, but up in that, breaking that little threshold of mid-packer to front packer, I have to continue to stay positive and relish in my own accomplishments, small, big, frequent, less frequent, just whenever it happens, you gotta remain happy, and you gotta realize that that's a big accomplishment.
Well, and another way to look at that, and I don't want to say it's apples and apples here, but every Tuesday mornings there's a group of fast boys that I run with, and I know who are better than me. Guys like Dom, guys like Guillaume, guys like Josh. They do more early morning run every Tuesday mornings called the Boys Only Club.
Oh, that sounds so cute.
I know they're not actually that elitist. It's just I think it was I forget how the name was derived, but these are guys who can whip my butt on any given day, but I make myself go there because I know I'm going to get my butt kicked. I know I'm gonna, whether it's going to be a combination of ego, it's going to be a combination of pride, it's going to be a combination of just I know I'm kind of gauging myself against them, but I am mainly gauging myself against myself. See if I'm able to keep up with them better, from week to week to week. So I think there's something to be said about running. And again, I'm not saying we're on different levels, but if you do make it a point to say, I'm going to run with people who are stronger runners than me, and I'm going to try to keep up with them. I mean, it could be a way to improve yourself and be like, you know what, today was easier than last week, or it was easier than it was a month ago. So that's another way of looking at it. And I did sense that something was up, obviously, because you were like quieter than you normally would be.
Well, I was also 100 feet, 200 feet behind you guys.
No, but you saw me the next day. I really do think it matters from day to day. I mean, yeah, we felt strong that night, and Colin was kind of pushing the pace, so I blame Colin. But the next day, I think I bumped into you on the trail, and I was feeling like shit. And I was actually glad to stop and talk to you for a while, because I was feeling crappy and my legs were heavy, and so it just matters from day to day. Yeah, you could be catching someone on a great day, and you could be catching them on a bad day, but ultimately, yeah, you're absolutely right. You should kind of judge your performance by, how you ran before. It's just against yourself.
Yeah, and there's no way to predict how your body will be on. This goes for races too. You'll just have no way of knowing how your body will be that specific day or that specific moment. You could run the same loop around your neighborhood every single day, and one day run at the slowest, and then the next day run at the fastest. You just don't know. It has a lot to do with diet, fatigue, all sorts of factors, stress, family. If your daughter won a 5K and you didn't feed her pancakes and you feel guilty, could be any number of factors. So I totally agree. This has been our top 10 ways to run happy. It's a big list. We had a lot of fun talking about all these items. This whole show I want to be about positivity, and I think we accomplished that. I don't want there to be a runner's rant this week, because I think that'll be a nice frowny face on the back end of a real happy, happy video. Mm-hmm. So we won't do a runner's rant, but to continue with the happy theme, I am giving away brand new pairs. Look at these. These are the Pearl Izumi Flash and Fly shorts. I believe this is the these are the Flash, the brand new shorts from Pearl Izumi.
I like the name.
What I love about these, I've only run in these 3 or 4 times, but I have to say Pearl Izumi is doing some really cool stuff with their ultra shorts and the trail running shorts and just shorts in general. The waistband, I'm going to try to show you guys. The waistband is almost like a boxer waistband, so it's more elastic. So it sits on your waist a little bit more comfortably. There's no fabric that overlaps each other, which can lead to some sort of skin irritation. But there's also a drawstring on the inside just below that waistband, so you're able to tie them tight to stay around your waist. So this basically features a waistband that has 2 technologies that I really love, the boxer-like waistband and the drawstring. In addition to that, a nice big pocket in the back for a cell phone, big enough for a cell phone, big enough for tons of nutrition and stuff like that. It's a really light material, moisture wicking. It's fantastic.
Okay. So
I'm giving a pair of these away. Male or female?
Oh, okay, because that was a question that came up on the thread.
I saw that, yeah. Male or female? And I think it's North America only, guys. I apologize. I believe it's North America only. So for those of you who are watching from out of country, I apologize. That has nothing to do with me or Pearl Izumi. Has everything to do with laws. And unfortunately, we can't skirt around laws. To win these, it's going to be a web search. So while you're watching this live, I'm going to give you a couple moments to go out there and search. And the first person to comment with the correct answer in this live stream chat room on YouTube will win. There'll be 2 different questions, 2 different things you need to go find. So we're going to have to look on this list. It doesn't update very frequently, but when we refresh, we should be able to see the first person with the number. That's basically how it goes.
Exciting.
This is very exciting. So the first question, let me just pull this up real quick. Between the dates of March 17th and March 23rd last week, how many miles did I run? How many miles did I run between the dates of March 17th?
Get on his Strava, hurry!
Sally is just helping you guys out.
Yeah, there you go.
It's actually not that difficult to find. Be precise. How many miles did I, the Ginger Runner, run last week? It's the 2-week taper, so it was a taper week. It was lower than I normally do. So I'm gonna refresh the chat room. If either Billy or Sally sees it, let me know before.
They're commenting on my belch right now. Which you guys
your belch was glorious, Billy.
They're talking about animals too on the trail, which I love. I cannot believe some of you guys have been chased off by bighorns, moose. Moose are scary. Moose will kill you. Bears.
Moose will kill you. Bears tend to be. I mean, bears from my understanding of research, bears and mountain lions are more scared of you than you are of them, right? But.
Mountain lion is probably the one animal that I
Runaway FOB says 500 miles. That is incorrect.
Okay,
I did not run.
Denny, Vincent, are you guys just guessing?
Yeah, how far do you live from Ethan? How far did he run?
Eddie,
there it is.
Diaz. I believe Diaz. 44.7 is the correct answer. Did Eddie win a prize 2 weeks ago? I forget. Guillaume almost in there with the correct answer. And Russell converting to kilometers. According to my chat room, it's Eddie Diaz. Do we all see Eddie Diaz first?
Yes, I see Eddie first.
Okay. Eddie, if you're on Twitter, send me a tweet. If you're on YouTube here, send me a direct message just so I can get your contact info and figure out how to send you a brand new pair of Pearl Izumi shorts. Wow. Here's how you can. Here's a second chance. For those of you who are now ready, this will be much quicker. I know it because you guys are already on Strava. Last week, between those same dates, how many feet of elevation did Sally McRae run?
Ooh.
How many feet of elevation did Sally McRae run last week? I'm going to tell you right now, it's a shit ton.
I'll tell you right now, I crushed all the Strava ambassadors.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know if you guys,
know
this, but Sally's, I think last week peaked out for Lake Sonoma 50, which is probably the most competitive 50 miler ever assembled, and she absolutely crushed it last week. 108 miles, right?
108 miles.
Yeah.
That's not super
Sally is
crushing
in
it, but
deep training right now for Lake Sonoma 50 mile, which is going to be a hugely competitive 50-mile race.
it is.
Yeah.
Like, some of the biggest runners in the ultra running scene are
It's
going
gonna
to
be
be
a
there.
blur of like skirts.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But Western States is like 2 months after that, so it's been kind of tough. My training, I've done like a hybrid of training, which I'm hoping will work. But I have to get in like these big miles, but still do a lot of fast stuff.
Jeff
So.
Allen,
We
we've
will
got
take.
it.
Did you get it?
Hold on. Yeah, we've got it. Russell Anderson answered first with 458 meters, but I said feet. I clearly said feet, and the first person to say feet was Jeff Allen with 17,077 feet of elevation climb last week.
On a technicality, I'm sorry, Russell.
Russell, I'm sorry. I was very clear because you said meters or kilometers in the first round.
What? 1,500 feet? Come on. I live on a hill. Like, I can run a 3-mile loop and get from 1,500 feet.
Really?
458.
Is that for real? That's insane. You're a monster. You're a monster in female clothing.
Thank you.
You're a peak,
I love
Sally.
it. Owen Hill said 1 trillion feet. Guillaume again in second place. Guillaume, I'm so sorry, buddy.
Thank you, Lupe.
But yes, I believe it is. Let me just look here. I believe it's Jeff.
And Eric
Allen.
Phillips, you need to get on Strava, buddy. It is a super fun community, and you could have won something.
Yes, Jeff Allen says, I think
Shout
I
out to
would.
Strava. We love you.
Yeah, shout out to Strava and shout out to Pearl
Liberty
Lizumi.
Rivers.
So,
Yeah.
Jeff Allen, since you were the first with the correct feet answer for Sally McRae climbed 17,077 feet last week. Again, direct message me either on Twitter or send me a tweet so I can follow you and can direct message, or on YouTube here, send me a direct message. It's just harder to do, so I would recommend Twitter.
Oh, you know what?
but
Russell
that-
had the wrong week anyway. He said, wrong week. So
Oh,
maybe,
okay, good.
So you can rest easy, Ethan.
Okay, good. I would have felt terrible
Yeah.
purely on that technicality. But that's how specific I get, and I got to play by the rules.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
congratulations, you two guys. I'm going to put you in
Yeah.
touch with the
Nice
company
work.
setting up the shorts. So these shorts are awesome, and once you get them, take a picture so I can retweet it, and you can brag. You can brag that you guys found numbers faster. And poor Guillaume Camet was right in second place both times. So that's it for today's show. I think that's pretty much it. Stick around. We're going to talk more in the post show. We have Sally McRae and Billy Yang. We're going to answer all of your questions, maybe some that we missed in the chat room. This has been a really awesome show. I'm really, really happy with this one because it is all about staying happy, especially during running. I think that's important. Sally, any last words? Any shout-outs? Where can people find you?
Oh, man. Well, first I just want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It has been a fun night, and just seeing what you guys have to say in the chat room. You're all very sweet and engaging, and I so enjoy this, and hope that, we'll all see you guys at a race or on the trails one day. You can find me at sallymcrae.com, Yellow Runner on Instagram, Yellow Runner on Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Thank you, Ethan. Yeah. Ethan, you rock. Love you,
Sally,
Ethan. My favorite ginger.
Oh, thanks. You're my favorite. Just person with a daughter that doesn't get pancakes. Billy, any last words, shout-outs, and where can they find you?
Shout-outs. I want to give a shout-out to Mr. Chris Vargo out there in Flagstaff, as he is. The cat's out of the bag. He's trying to relocate to Flagstaff, Arizona.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, he was. He's out there either house hunting, MILF hunting. I don't know what he's doing out there, but he's
just
too
for
busy
you,
for us.
Billy. Hold on, just for you. Just the tip with Chris Fargo. That's me. I had to. In honor of Chris.
And you know what? If you missed it, guys, go to irunfar.com. There's a great article on there about our very own Chris Fargo, how he battled and overcame alcohol addiction, and all his recent successes. You know about it. And shout out to the rest of the crew: Josh Spector, Colin Cooley out in Utah right now, Dave Daly, all you guys. Much love. And social media-wise, you can go to larunner.com. You can find me on YouTube. Twitter is LARunner, LARUNR. Same with Instagram. And guys, if you've sent me Facebook requests from watching this, and Facebook, I don't want to be a dick, but I try to limit it to people I've met in real life. Otherwise, because my memory sucks ass, it really does. And so, unless I've met you in real life,
way to end this on a positive note, Billy. Basically saying, if you've added me on Facebook, I hate you.
No, I feel like a dick.
His time. What he's really saying, he's taking his time. He will add you, because we argue about this. He will add you. He just takes his time.
No, it's because I could meet you at a party, shake hands, and then walk away going like, what's her name again? I just have a shitty memory. It's me. But that's
Unless you're a hot chick.
Well, come on. We make exceptions for everything. No, but God bless you guys. I had a ton of fun chatting with you guys on the internet. We'll keep chatting once the show's over on the post show. But thank you guys, and sorry for being an asshole.
Yeah, you're never an asshole, Billy. So yeah, once again, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in live. This has been Ginger Runner Live episode number 7. We're back again next week. I'll be coming to you live either from Oregon or Washington, because this weekend is race weekend, which I'm always excited about to announce. Billy and I will be up in Hood River, Oregon for the Gorge 50K. Guillaume, who is second place in the chat room multiple times, will be running the 100K. There's going to be a lot of great footage I'm going to shoot. Billy, I believe, is going to shoot some, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really, really cool. So next week's live show will be from one of those locations, Seattle or Hood River. And hopefully we'll feature some footage from the race, a preview, secret preview that only you guys, live viewers, will get to see. So again, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm here every single week live at 6 p.m. Pacific on Mondays. I do reviews and other videos every single week as well, dropping on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, so always stay tuned for those. So subscribe to youtube.com/thegingerrunner. You can find me on Twitter @thegingerrunner, facebook.com/thegingerrunner, and of course gingerrunner.com. On Instagram @EthanNewberry. I hope you guys are getting out there training hard, racing harder, and partying the hardest. #Train Race Beer. We'll see you guys in the post show if you would like to stick around and talk to us more.
Yeah.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Yay!
Yay!
All right, that was awesome, guys. That was really fun, really positive.
Super fun. I loved it, Ethan. For everybody,
I love the positive energy stuff. Go ahead, Sally.
Asking about yellow runner, what that means, why yellow, why yellow.
Openly mocking Asian people.
Yeah.
White runner, I would take that, but that was taken.
There's a long story behind it, actually, that I won't get into. There's been a few interviews that I've done where I've talked about that. But when I was a child, my mom, one of my nicknames was Sunshine. And before she, like a month before she passed away from cancer, she got into her wheelchair and made my dad drive her to Target. She was like so sick. And she bought all this yellow stuff for me, a yellow clock, a yellow blanket, a yellow candle. And it was to basically like represent like sunshine. And anyway, so as life went on, yellow to me has always represented just like shining and bright. And I've always wanted to encourage and inspire people to live a life that shines. So how do you inspire other people? How does your life shine? You know, and then there's a little tidbit in there about the fact that I love, you know, chasing the sunset and the sunrise. But essentially, Yellow Runner is just my desire to want to live a life that shines and inspires, that it's not all about me, but about other people too. So that's Yellow Runner.
I love it, Sally. That's great. It's always a good story. I always like hearing it too. It continues to inspire.
Yeah.
People are asking, Ethan, can you please share the infamous top 10 shoe list?
Yes,
I don't know if you're talking about the one that I was referring to earlier today, or if you're talking about my personal top 10 shoe list. I don't think I could make one. I really don't, because my top 10 shoes changes frequently. I mean, I have an all-time like favorite couple shoes that I still have pairs of that I still run in from time to time, but really, I will rotate them with shoes that I just get, you know, like for me, I don't think there is a top 10 shoe list, and that would be a mistake to put something like that out. I probably will someday. I probably will, but you know, I think it's a disservice to new shoes and new technology and stuff like that. But unless you're talking about the list that I saw today, in which case, no, I'm not going to share it because a human wrote it, and the last thing I want to do is put something out that makes another human feel like total shit, even though they should probably feel like total shit for doing what they did.
Okay. I'm gonna go back. Damn, Ethan, you have a lot of Canadian followers. You know that?
I actually have a lot of around the globe. A lot of
Well,
really.
no, I'm not saying you're not an international man. I'm just saying when I asked people where they were from,
Yeah.
a lot of people from the Canadian contingency.
It's my second home now, thanks to my fiance.
What's that about?
Yeah.
What's that about?
All right.
I will be half Canadian someday, maybe. I don't know. Owen Hill says Ethan is going to become a duck in Oregon. No, I'm a Husky. I'm a University of Washington graduate. I'm a Husky all the way. No ducks allowed.
He's a husky too.
Hey, come on.
Is husky a bad word? I'm sorry.
You're calling me husky.
Like manly. Sorry.
Okay, let's look at Chris Miller. My knee's been jacked up recently. How much can I rest and not lose too much fitness? Was doing about 30 miles per week before injury. Chris, if you have like a race that you are focused on, usually questions like this, that helps a little bit. So if you can add a little bit more into your question. But as far as just like overall, like you're losing your fitness, typically like the more fit you are, the window it's expanded just a little bit before you start losing your fitness, but typically like 2 weeks out is when you really start feeling like, okay, I need to kind of go back to the drawing board. And then once you're like a month out, then you kind of have to start back at square one. I think it's different for everyone depending on what your current fitness level is. But what I always say, regardless of what your injury is, there's always something you can do, always. And I know that there are doctors that probably would disagree with me, but I think that unless you are in like a body cast, there's some type of movement that you can do. When I had a stress fracture, I was pool running. You don't touch the bottom of the pool, but pool running or doing weights or bands or staying as active as possible. If you can do something without feeling pain, then that will at least help a little bit. The good thing, though, is that while you are recovering from an injury, so if you have this knee injury and it is just impeding everything, you're in a lot of pain, and you feel yourself, you're losing that fitness, and it's so frustrating. It can be really, really depressing. We've all been there. 70-80% of runners are injured every single year. That has not changed in a really long time. So you're not alone in what you're feeling, but realize that if you are patient and wise with your rest and recovery, you will come back stronger, and your training will be better because you will hopefully have learned your lesson to either maybe it was an overtraining injury that you won't do that again, or you are just better in tune with your body. And that's like that's definitely an advantage that you get by being injured is you feel your body a lot better, and you know what to do. You know the therapy exercises you need to do to get stronger, or maybe you need a little bit more mobility or things like that. So use this time to look into the other things that you can do so that when you do come back, your body is just already stronger overall. You have a stronger base. But keep at it. Don't lose heart. Know that your injury is not forever. And if anything, you're going to come back more motivated and excited to, get running again.
Yeah, if you want motivation, go back and listen to the Trail Runner Nation podcast with Chris Fargo and how he talked about coming back from an Achilles injury like a much stronger runner because he just had that time off. And you actually, I think he mentioned he found himself doing more like in terms of the time put into training when he was injured than he was like healthier in running.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan, I wanted to go back about an hour ago. Owen Hill had a question. I know this is kind of open-ended, but he was asking what is a good shoe that is comfortable for about 500 miles for both like road and trail? Is there one? I don't know if he's asking for budgetary reasons, or is there one that kind of pops into mind that's like a good hybrid shoe?
I get that question a lot because people just want to find one magic shoe. They want to find one shoe that can do it all. And unfortunately, I honestly don't think that's the way to go, especially now that I've done so much trail and so much road running. I just don't think it's smart to get one shoe to do them all because they're making compromises in certain areas. I don't know who asked the question. I don't know what they weigh. I don't know what their gait is like. I don't know anything about how they run. So my best recommendation would be to go to a professional running store where they will analyze your running gait, look at you, and determine what shoe is best for you. But then also try on everything there. Try on every shoe because some stores will tell you what shoe you need to be in because they have a surplus of them. So the truth is, try on everything, figure out what shoe works for you, and give it a shot. If you can get two pairs of shoes, one for road and one for trail, I think that's better. If the run that you're doing involves running from your house to a trail and then running, there are a couple of options as far as getting 500 miles out of a shoe. I just don't think that's really feasible in a lot of cases because you have to have a very efficient stride, and you're dealing with shoe manufacturers that incorporate a lot of outsole that will rub out before that 500-mile mark. So you got to be careful with that. Salomon makes great shoes. I know that there's Sense Mantra, there's Sense Mantra 2, there's Sense Pro. They're all road to trail. They also came out with a new one. I think it's called the X. Shit, I don't remember. It's like the X Flight or something like that. It's some new road to trail shoe. I haven't tried it, so I can't attest to it. The Hoka Bondi, the Hoka Bondi 3 is a shoe that I really liked using on trails, even though it's a road shoe for recovery and stuff. But depends on if you like the Hokas. So that's gonna depend on you. That's basically how I have to answer that question. I get that a lot, and I have to answer it that way.
Yeah. Haigi 09 asked, I don't have a single friend that runs. I work study so much I can never make it out to running groups. It kind of sucks. I mean, my piece of advice, I'm sure you're not the only one with a tough schedule, and somebody like Sally, who juggles, being a full-time coach, being a full-time mom, being a full-time elite sponsored runner, she can find time for us. I'm sure you can find friends who have either as chaotic a schedule as you, or jump on. I mean, the internet's your resource. I'm sure there's a ton of forums you can hop into, either Runner's World or I think Lori Hall mentioned she found some great local running friends through Daily Mile. There will be people that you can kind of connect with.
I totally agree. Sally is a perfect example of someone who is. Sally, you're probably the busiest person in the house. You're dealing family, training, everything. But Sally still manages to find times where she can either run with us, run with her other friends, run with nobody. She manages to balance it.
It's not easy.
I know.
I will say, at all, it's not easy. But you make time for the things that are important to you. We all have 24 hours, and I probably give up a lot of things that maybe, like, generally speaking, like in my area, that a lot of women do. I just don't do, because there are other things that are far more important to me. So, but I understand that too, that finding that time, it's hard, and you have to give yourself grace as far as figuring it out. And sometimes it takes you like 6-7 weeks before you get into that schedule, or get used to it, at least create that habit. Thank you.
Yeah, and like Billy said online, I know that there's a local trail group, the Coyotes, Jimmy D. Freeman's group, the Coyotes, and they have a Facebook page, and people post there all the time, like, hey, I'm going to go do this mileage at this time. Who wants to join? So stuff like that exists. To say that there's no running group that goes at your time doesn't mean that there's no runners from that group that may want to go at your time. So you never know. So reach out.
I just stay away from Craigslist, maybe.
Yeah. Runner seeking other runner, no sex.
Christopher Holloway wrote, going to rain on my 50K Saturday. Cannot wait for that. Woohoo. That was about 44 minutes ago. I don't know if you're doing
right.
the
Yeah, we were talking about raining and running in the rain. I think it's going to rain at the Gorge, too, which is going to be awesome. I'm so excited. Christopher Holloway says, Trail Runner Nation rules. Totally agree. Sally is a big part of their podcast. We got to make sure that we shout them out.
Yeah.
Yes, and they love you, Ethan, and really appreciate you.
I love them. I love them real deep. Like, deep love. Is that okay?
Very strong love. Hey, I want to say really quick to, gosh, you just wrote this, CVRTI5, is it okay to not do math when training for an ultra? I'm running a 50K here in Colorado at the end of June. I'm thinking that you're referring to the maffetone test, like the heart rate training and stuff. That is one philosophy in training. Now, as a coach, the way that I coach my athletes is I will have them do the test. It's the 5-mile test, just so that they can get a good gauge, like on their aerobic base, and then I'll have them run with the heart rate monitor, maybe depending on the athlete, for like a week or two, and then I take it away. I'm a really big believer in teaching an athlete how to really feel their body, and so I might bring in the heart rate monitor, do the whole math thing for like a week or two, and then take it away, and then bring it back. Again, you're doing these really, really long runs. You know, you get to a point in a race too where your devices don't matter anymore. You need to be in touch with your body. You need to feel your body and know what it needs. You need to be able to dig deep and keep pushing forward. And if you're always depending on devices or always depending on this certain heart rate, you're going to do yourself a disservice. As far as what math training does for you aerobically and fitness-wise, it's phenomenal. I've had a few athletes with great success on it. So there is no negative to you doing it, and there's no negative to you not doing it. Just make sure that you have smart training, and that is that you keep a variety of workouts within your program every week, that you're not doing the same thing every single day, and that you're running happy. So there's that. Zachary Gertch, with your question about having a strained hamstring, what is the best to help get rid of that? Is pool running good or no? Zachary, man, first, I'm really sorry about the strained hamstring. You need to let that heal. Absolutely, it's a huge muscle, and you don't want to further injure it, especially, you know, climbing mountains. If you were well, if you didn't have the injury, one of the best things you can do to get strong hamstrings and Achilles is hill bounding, which we have Billy Yang here, who does my workout videos. We are actually filming a video on that this week on hill bounding. But a lot of times hamstring injuries and Achilles injuries are because of limited mobility, and bounding, this exercise strengthens that, and it keeps you mobile, it keeps you flexible, it keeps you loose. So my thought is that you went into your running with a lot of tightness in there, and because of that, that's where the strain came from. So pool running is great if there's not if you're not feeling the strain. You know, it's a form of resistance. Pool running, you get a really good resistance workout in there, and so if there's a possibility that you are resisting and you're wanting to use that hamstring muscle, don't do it. You know, try and look for maybe some other alternatives that you can do. But yeah, you really need to just let that heal and then get it strong.
I'm dealing with a very similar injury. Hamstring has been causing me a lot of grief. And what was I going to say?
Yeah, that you're not happy with it.
You're just going to complain, Ethan?
Yeah, so glutes is another big one. Doing your hip raises, so lying on your back, knees are bent, feet flat on the ground, lifting the hips up, squeezing the glutes for 2 seconds, and then lowering and hovering. Hip raises are phenomenal. Doing like strengthening your hips too are really good, so doing like clams and things like that. But typically North Americans, just across the board, because we sit all day, we just sit a lot too, we do have weak hips and glutes, and those will also contribute to hamstring injuries as well as overstriding too.
Yeah, I'm going to say overstriding, because Sally didn't let me finish. But the reason I'm having these issues is because I have weak glutes and I have an overstriding issue, and that's actually contributing to a lot of hamstring strain. So I'm working on both of those issues currently, so the strain will go away. But I am still running through it, just not huge mileage and not pushing if I feel pain. So hey,
Russell Anderson. Russell Anderson, he has sore calves during taper week. I do every single taper week. I hear you. Racing a 30K on Sunday, do I rest hard or run through it? Russell, the best thing that you can do during your taper week is to stay loose. I know you probably, if you've watched the show before, you'll hear Chris talk about how He always feels pretty junky going into a race. Not
Hey,
his body
Sally,
just doesn't feel that
tilt your
great.
monitor down. Tilt your monitor down because you're like slipping to the bottom of the screen.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Better.
What were we seeing there? Like just my head
No, you're
or
basically
my
what people
eye?
were seeing like this.
Thank you. I wasn't on there. Okay, so basically, Ethan the Creeper. So basically, so yeah, leading up to race week, not uncommon for you to feel just heavy legs, tightness in the muscles. You have gone from consistent good training in your weeks before. Your body was getting used to that, was staying loose, getting out for the run, and suddenly you're doing far less than what you're doing. So it is normal for your body to feel a little bit tight, a little sore, a little crampy. I always suggest do something based on feel. You're not going to make any great training benefit this week. What you do this week as far as like a run isn't really going to benefit. You're not going to gain an edge on race day. So your goal is to get to the start line feeling rested, feeling strong and confident. And the way that you do that is, you obviously you're going to get some good sleep in, you're going to get some good eating in, but your runs should be focused on getting loose, doing some strides. Strides are really, really good for loosening up your legs. So maybe go like on a 30 to 45 minute just aerobic run, and then end that aerobic run with, I don't know, like 4 or 5 strides that last 15 to 20 seconds just to kind of get the legs pedaling, and then get some good stretching in. But the worst thing that you can do is just stay tight this whole entire week and think that you're going to feel better on race day. So do something about it. Get on the foam roller. I like to use I keep looking at and talking to my speaker. It's really funny. I like to use a softball or a tennis ball and rub out my calves on that. Just really, really dig in there and loosen up. So do different things that are just going to make you feel better, but don't do nothing.
Yeah, I had the same problem before Sean O'Brien. Both of my calves had little issues, muscle strain and stuff like that. I was like, oh my God, I'm injured. I can't run. I'm injured. Focused on massaging rather than like taking a hard foam roller and getting in there because it's it could do more damage in my case. So I was just massaging and making sure that those muscles were loose, drinking plenty of water and hydrating like a mofo because it's going to help lubricate everything. Taking anti-inflammatories, that was a suggestion from Sally McRae. Not a ton of them, but enough to, like, not while you're running, but in the off time, just to kind of keep that pain and swelling down. And icing, the Rice method. If they are injured, you want to make sure that you treat them like a regular. What?
Oh, no, no, different. Rice acronym, okay.
The Honda Accord method.
Yeah. Go ahead, Billy.
No, we have several questions I wanted to know.
I know, I'm just seeing them pop up.
Really quick from Stephen, Kim, Sally, Ethan, Billy, what one tip would you give for a second ultramarathon 50K range as I want to do better? Is there one tip that you would give to Stephen?
Figure out what you did in the first 50K that maybe will make you faster in the second one. So my first 50K, I took a lot of time at aid stations.
Yeah.
I stopped at every aid station and was like, what? Because it's your first one, so you really don't know what to do, right? So I went to the aid stations. I'm like, maybe I should eat potato chips. Maybe I should drink this water or this Coke. Maybe I should do this and that. Eliminate that time. Know going into each aid station what exactly you need, and that's it's going to take a lot of training, a lot of practice, and figuring out exactly what your nutrition needs are. So for me, by limiting my time in aid stations, and I'm still improving upon that. It wasn't until Sean O'Brien that I was rolling into an aid station and rolling right out. Yeah. And that took as many ultras as I ran in 2013 to finally figure out aid stations are a great opportunity to either take a break if you need it or roll on through, get the aid that you need and roll on through.
Yeah, and then to add to that, I'd say really, especially the longer race gets, it's really important to get your nutrition dialed in. Practice on your long runs, that's really the best thing you could do. And going back to aid stations, I would say, when you're like within several minutes of approaching that aid station, take inventory. Think about, okay, I have trash in my left pocket. I have to remember to dump that, or my bottle's low. I got to remember to fill this bottle. So just do a mental head to toe kind of inventory of like what you need to discard, what you need to get in, et cetera, and that'll help you be a lot more expedient on the aid stations for sure. Sally, you have anything you want to add to that? One tip, second ultra marathon?
I think those are good. Yeah.
Sally wasn't even listening.
Okay.
No, I was. I read it too. I think I would just want to ask like this person like so many other questions, and so it's such a general, it's such a generalized thing. And I think as a coach, I'm very personal with everyone that I coach. I get to the nitty gritty. So if I know they're going to be running their second ultra marathon, I right away want to know why. What are you trying to PR? You know, what's the distance? What was your first experience? You know, all things like that. So I think if just generally speaking, what's the best tip for you? And again, it kind of goes back to just what I was saying in that about the math testing, feeling your body. I think that when you first start doing ultras, what you need to do is educate yourself on you, because you are doing everything to the extreme. Your body is going to be using itself to the extreme, mentally, physically, even emotionally. And so if you use your initial races as a time for you to really embrace all of those parts of a race, so, you know, the feeling good side where you're able to eat and getting to know what tastes good at an aid station, and then, okay, now my legs don't want to work, why am I doing this race? And really thinking about, just thinking, wrapping your mind around that, and then getting yourself to the finish line. Mm-hmm. I think that it's also a good time when you finish your ultra, that you are able to look back at your training and see, you know, if you've done your if you're going on to your second one right now, are you training differently than you did from your first one? Are you hoping to be faster? Do you want to be stronger as a climber? And so it's a great time just to experiment. It's a great time to just learn to love the sport. And so I just, again, I would strongly suggest that, you know, going into the race, use it as a time to enjoy it, get to know yourself. If you intend to do these if you want to do them for a long time, one of the biggest reasons why people drop out of a race is nutrition. Their stomach can't handle it. They're throwing up. They're dizzy. Can't get enough electrolytes. And so work on that as much as you can during your long runs. And even in this race, I don't know when your race is. If it's coming up this weekend, then that should be your focus on, you know, working on your nutrition. So sorry that was all over the place, but I think I would just need a few more details to answer it wisely.
Hey Sally, real quick, to that point, are you I don't know what your portfolio is like. Are you hiring new clients, or are you like maxed out in terms of how many clients?
Yeah, I am taking on new clients. Thank you, Billy. I am taking on new clients. I will probably only take on 2 more like private clients, and those are typically people that are local to me. I'm in Orange County, California. But I do coach people online across the country and overseas. Yeah. And so, yeah, if you're interested, you could visit my site for that. Again, thanks, Billy.
Yeah,
she's great. I highly recommend it. Obviously, I mean, this is a great example. She's able to answer all your guys' questions, so take advantage.
Galzilla asks, if I don't get any massages or anything, should I invest in a trigger point foam roller or any other rollers, or is the stick I have good enough? I don't know about you guys. Roller.
I like it. I like it because it has little nubs that will allow you to kind of get in there. I had a lot of issues with my calves and some fascia in the calves, and it helped just dial in that stuff. And right now it's working really great to get into the glutes and hamstrings and stuff like that. So I like it. I like it over the stick. The stick is great because it travels well, so you can actually just shove it in a suitcase and take it with you to a race, and that's great for calves and for quads. Sally, roller? You use a roller?
Yeah, I use the stick. I use the foam roller. I use softballs, golf balls. Especially if you're struggling with like a really deep tissue, like a really deep knot or something like that. IT bands, sometimes you can get some gnarly knots in your IT bands. Or if you struggle with plantar fasciitis, throw the golf ball in the freezer, and if you're sitting at your computer, just roll your foot on the golf ball, while you're sitting. That will really help. It helps with the inflammation, but also kind of digging in there and like breaking stuff up. So that's what I use. I don't use fancy stuff.
Yeah, if you live with a significant other or a roommate, you would probably want to give them a heads up as to why there's a golf ball in the food, so they don't think you've completely gone insane.
Yeah.
Or just covered it in blood and then stick it in the freezer and then tell them why. No idea.
Andrew Thomas asks, what natural attributes does someone need to be a good ultra runner?
You need to have legs, a brain.
Why should a good coach?
Yeah, that's basically it.
You can mold you from there.
Go to a start line. I mean, seriously, go to a start line of any trail race, any ultra event, and
yes.
As if just speaking from a physical standpoint, there are people there that look like they've never run a day in their life, and then there are people there that look like they're just 10K speedsters, and then we have starting to get a lot more younger people out there from 16 years old. I think way too cool. We had a 14-year-old boy out there. People in their 70s and 80s. So as far as like the physical side and what you need to look like and do it, just really it's the courage to go out and do it. If you want to build your body, like you want to build a strong ultra body, I think that the most important thing you can do is to make sure, one, that you aren't injured, and two, that you get your body strong, that you do you do exercises, functional and core exercises that are specific to running. And then as far as just your training goes, I said this earlier, that your training is going to look like something that has a lot of variety in it. So I will never say that you need to look this way or, have these different attributes. I refuse to do that, because I've seen some incredible athletes that you would never think that would be fast or be runners, and they do amazing things out there just because they go out and they try and their training is right. So just you asking.
Shapes and sizes, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, just go to a marathon, just go to a start line of an ultra. You'll see them in all. I'm tall, short, wider, narrower. Yeah, I mean, all different shapes and sizes.
Ginger,
thanks for the question, Andrew.
Asian,
non-ginger.
female.
Owen Hill, could you describe what a running gait is? Well, you spelled it running gait, G-A-T-E. So.
A gate with medals on it.
This is essentially a running gate, right? So it's
it's just how you run.
Do better. It's how you run.
It's just how you run. It's how you were created, how you run. And I love it when our crew goes out and runs together, because everyone has a very specific running gait. And seriously, if we were like a mile away from each other, guarantee all of us could pinpoint, like, oh, that's Dave, that's Colin, that's Ethan. Like, it's just how you run. And that phrase is becoming more and more popular, especially like when you're going into a running shop and you're trying to figure out what shoes are right for you. And the shoe specialist will come out and he'll use his big words and say, let me analyze your running gait and we'll figure out what shoes you're supposed to be in. Well, maybe he doesn't say it like that, but
let me check out your running gait and overpronator. Let me analyze your running gait.
That's how Chris Vargo. That's how he helps his customers at the running store.
He gets all creepy.
Let me touch your feet. I want to touch your feet. You have really nice
I like your feet.
I have a dog
to
will lick you.
I have to address this because I've run this race before, but Runaway Fob asks, what's your favorite marathon / ultra marathon outside the USA? I know Thad brought up Comrades for sure, and dude, absolutely, that race was badass. It's all on road, so it's not a typical like US European ultra race. But man, I went with our friend Colin because he ran it the year before. And man, I wore like a USA singlet, and it is like Boston on steroids. It is like people lining up. They're cheering for you. They're running next to you. They love Americans. I mean, it was just the most unreal running experience I've ever had. It is 56 miles, so it is an ultra marathon, and it's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of climbing. There's a lot of descents, but man, if there's a race that I would put high up on a bucket list, a running bucket list, I would put that one, Comrades Marathon.
And Ellie Greenwood is not running Lake Sonoma.
I know, I'm so sad.
Because she's running Comrades. And Ellie, I want to see Ellie and Sally get in the same room and meet, because they're both just like these super positive, very outgoing, wonderful women runners.
That's why I was
like, oh my god, oh my god. It'd be awesome. I want to just film it and post it.
We'll have to invite her here.
Oh, maybe that's what I should do. She get her on the show.
Jesus,
that would be pretty incredible.
My favorite international race marathon would be the Vancouver Marathon and the Squamish 50 miler.
Yeah.
They're Canada and they're international.
Mm.
They're better than Billy's. The question came up earlier about my music and when I'll be releasing my music on iTunes, and that is going to be very soon. Because I now have a number of tracks that will actually it'll make a full album. So I'm really excited. I think.
Oh, you're talking about your original music.
Yeah, because every video that I post, every race video I create the music for it. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people are like, "Hey, where can I get this music?" And it's like, "Well, I made it. When I release it, you can totally grab it." So I'm making, I believe it's a 12-track album, and it'll be all the songs and remixed a little bit for album purposes, but yeah, people have actually asked for it, so I'm like, well, why not? I guess I could put that out.
Can we shoot like an album cover?
We could, yeah. I think we should go all out, like full Cheap Factor, just like just like
Ace of Base, yeah, exactly.
Ace of Base.
Well, total Ace of Base style. But there's this other idea that I've been playing with, and I'll talk to you guys about it in a future episode. But it'll coincide with the release of the album. I'll have to keep you guys posted. But that is coming.
Cool.
It is coming. It'll be on iTunes and Amazon and all that stuff. So
Cool.
So let's just grab like maybe one more question in there, and then we'll wrap it up. Because I know Sally's got a family that's probably wondering where their mom is, and Billy also has a family that's wondering when
I do
where their daddy is.
Yeah.
Looking through here.
Okay, someone just asked, do you guys stretch after a race or after training? Go ahead and answer that, boys.
I rarely.
Be honest.
I don't really stretch. No, I don't really stretch before. I usually do a warm-up mile. So almost every run I do some sort of warm-up mile, which is easy pace, easy everything.
Nice.
Just to get the body warm. And I won't stretch after that. I'll just increase my pace. And then afterwards, I do now, because especially with my hamstring stuff, I'll stretch that hamstring out as much as possible, and I'll do as much hip flexor stuff because I've had hip flexor issues in the past, so I try to open those up as much as possible afterwards. But otherwise, I'm not going through a 10 stretch post-run thing. You know, I usually just kind of go by feel. That's it. What about you, Billy Yang?
Yeah, what about you, Billy?
I am the tightest person you'll ever meet. Like my range of motion.
That is disgusting.
That's my range of motion right there. No, I don't, and I probably should, but it's just I don't know how to do it properly. You know, if people around me are stretching, I'll kind of do like one of these, like, oh yeah, I'm warming up too, but I don't stretch. I'm not a stretcher.
Shelly, do you stretch?
Yes, I do. I typically will stretch like at home though, or just like throughout the day. On my recovery run days, which I had today, both runs I'll stop and stretch several times. Typically, like my recovery runs, I do feel like a little bit tight and stuff. I just think that that's the beauty of the recovery run, to really listen and take care of your body. So I don't worry about pace. I don't care about any of that. It's all about slow running, allowing the oxygen to get in the muscles, and then stopping to stretch whenever I need to. But as far as like concentrated long stretching, I might do that like once a week, where I'll do like 15-20 minutes. of that. There was even some studies that were floating around that were saying, and I this is like one of the coaching courses I took. I don't know if I completely agree with it, but it was like, if you don't ever stretch, then you're fine. Like if you never do it, then you're okay. I don't know how much I agree with that, because I think a lot of injuries are the result of lack of mobility and tightness. And then it leads to, overcompensation or things like that. So I think it's wise that even if you don't feel like you feel loose and you don't feel like you need to stretch, go get on your foam roller and roll around and see if you're tight. you probably are. So just practice it when you can, and then maybe make like one day a week where you really take the time to focus on stretching. So.
And actually, Dean Karnazes in his book always talked about, I never stretch, I never have to stretch, I never feel like I need to stretch, no stretching. And I'm like, oh man, that's you put that out there, Dean Karnazes, and a lot of the new runners in the world who read your book and are like, oh, I'm going to start running like Dean. Mm-hmm. They just won't stretch, because if he doesn't do it, why should they?
Yeah,
so, I agree. I think it's a mobility thing. Mm-hmm. Injuries, lack of mobility.
It's a good discussion. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. I have to ask, Nicolas Melo in the chat room said, I heard the intro song in a shoe ad. Are you talking about my intro song? Because that would be stealing. Well, I hope that's not the case. So if you could specify, that would be great.
Poor Ethan, you've had a few things stolen from you lately.
Yeah, it actually happened recently. Someone stole one of my video photos. One of the screen cap. They took a screen cap of one of my videos and used it in some magazine ad. It was an online magazine ad, and I actually had to tweet him. I was like, just so you know, using photos that don't belong to you without asking is not cool. Like, where is the image used? And I pointed right at it, and they're like, thank you for bringing it to our attention. And then they changed it. They changed it to something else. And I'm like, but you never apologized. You stole me. You stole my face.
You stole my face.
Yeah. That's so
It's one of those bullshit, like, I'm sorry that you feel that way kind of
Someone
bullshit.
says one of the local radio stations uses that theme song for a bumper occasionally.
What? Wait, what theme song? Mine?
Yours?
John Tracy. What are you talking about?
What John Tracy? What theme song? I'm getting freaked out, guys. Who's using my song?
Aww.
I made this.
And they're making millions of dollars, Ethan. That's weird.
Millions. Millions of dollars.
95 KGC. What's that?
Yeah.
The problem is I can't stop the broadcast, because then no more comments will be allowed until the video goes live in like an hour or two. So I need to know what people are talking about.
Yeah.
So maybe we can find one more question. We can talk about that while these people talk about. John Tracy, let me know. Is it my song? Send me a link to the radio show. And Nicolas, you just disappeared. My song? Click to the shoe ad. Let me see it. Sally, are you excited for Lake Sonoma?
I am. I'm very, very excited. I think I said it earlier. It's been kind of weird because my mind is so on Western States, and I really, really want to do well there. But Lake Sonoma is also like the most competitive 50-mile race of the year, so I really want to do well there too. Training for a 50-mile race and training for a 100-mile race, those are two totally different events, and so I've had to kind of make like a hybrid of a training plan, which is I'm liking it so far. Definitely increasing the miles, but still trying to stay fast.
Yep.
Or get faster, actually. So, but yeah, I'm excited to be up there. Billy's going.
Sorry.
Billy will be up there.
Yep.
Yeah, Billy's gonna go film. I'm assuming the Sally's experience or the whole experience.
No, I'm primarily going to be filming the race. So just like with my Sean O'Brien video, I'm going to be their own personal stalker / paparazzi, just running behind them. But I'm stoked. It's stacked field. If you don't know who's running it, it's basically a who's who of ultra running, and it's a bummer that Ethan won't be able to join us. I think he has a wedding, but
Not mine. My good friend.
Yeah,
my good friend Lindsay's getting married.
Yeah, somebody referred to Kim as your wife earlier, and I had to spell out that she's still your fiance.
Oh, it's fine. You can say fiance, wife, whatever.
Yeah.
She's my babe.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Nicolas or John, if you guys find the link to that, tweet it out. Or send it to me just so I can see it. Hey, where'd my video go? What the hell's up with that? Can you
Ethan.
see me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I
weird.
see you.
My video just went in and out.
Ethan.
Yeah, Billy, go ahead.
No, I was just finally just gonna bring up this weekend and plans, thoughts, how you feel, goals.
I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna put that out there. I'm gonna go for a 50K PR for myself.
Yeah.
My PR at this point, I believe, was Sean O'Brien, and the thing is every 50K is different. Totally. I mean, the terrain is going to be different. The hills are coming different places. So if a hill's late in the game, it could really mess up your whole race if you're going for a PR. So basically, I'm going to go as fast as I can. Not sprinting, but I'm going to finish this race as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But the problem with that for this particular race is that it is so beautiful, and this race has so much to look at, and I'm going to want to film so much.
Yeah.
That my expectation to finish in a PR is so light and so flexible that if I start that race and within the first 3 miles I go, whoa, I want to take my time, then I'm going to take my time. It's really going to come down to that moment of that day. I would really like to go fast and like prove to myself that I have it in me. But at the same point, I don't know if this is the race for that. I have races later in the year where I can really go for it. But I definitely want to take advantage of the fact that you run behind waterfalls in this race.
Yeah.
So I want to film it and share it with the world.
I'm stoked.
Yeah. Me too. All right, well that's it. It's been a couple of hours. You guys are awesome for sticking around, watching us live. I know that we still have
still 80 people watching. Thank you.
Yeah, 80 people, 90 people. We peaked out at about 140 today, which is rad.
Yeah.
Really great. That number is always increasing from week to week. So be sure to continue to share this. The episode, as soon as we sign off, you can refresh the page and rewatch the episode. Not that you would, but you could. But you can share that link immediately, and it will just immediately go live on my channel and share with all of my followers and stuff like that. But I would love to share this so people know exactly what we're doing and realize it's pretty cool. It's innovative. It's the future where you can actually interact with people, including Sally and Billy and Chris Fargo and elite athletes, right? So I'm really, really excited to be doing it. Sally, thank you so much for taking time out of your freaking busy schedule.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity. I love it. I love it. And you do amazing things, Ethan. Thank you for who you are and what you do.
Yeah, you do as well, Sally, and you helped a lot of people out tonight. And Billy, thank you very much for taking some time out of your evening for joining us and enjoying a beer with me. And creep it out, man. Creep it out.
Yeah. I'm a ninja. That's how I disappear.
Look at all the sweet thank yous and we love yous in the chat room.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
The positivity is awesome. And on this episode of all episodes, it's awesome. So thank you very much, guys. Subscribe to this channel. We'll see you next week live with some secret footage, not secret, but preview footage from the Gorge 50K and 100K races up in Hood River, Oregon. You guys are the best. See you guys next time. Peace.